You've built a model railroad and had fun running trains, but now you want something more. It's time to look at operations. I've got 5 tips for model railroad operations that will have you doing switching operations and mainline meets in no time. Hey everybody, my name's Jimmy. I'm drinking some local coffee today, and this is Coffee and Trains.
This video is brought to you with support from my patrons on Patreon. These videos would not be possible without them, and if you'd like to join the Patreon community, you can follow the link in the description below and join for as little as $1 a month.
Jumping right in, the first tip is to figure out what best suits your model railroad. If you have a large model railroad that models a section of main line, you'll probably want to look into doing meets between trains, centralized traffic control or CTC, yard operations, and then switching in certain areas where you run a train out to switch an industry or something like that. The smaller your railroad gets, the more you're going to focus on switching. Switching is a fun way to turn your model railroad into a huge interactive game that you can share. And there are tons of ways that you can do switching operations. I have an incredibly simple way to start into switching called the train game. The second tip is to figure out where the cars are coming from and going to. Railroads serve a purpose of getting goods and people from A to B. Having those points established for your railroad will help you design your operation accordingly. Mixed freight that goes to different types of industries is going to have different sources and destinations, as opposed to unit trains such as coal, oil, wood, and other bulk commodities. Where these things go is also influenced by the size of your layout. If you don't have a yard, for example, the cars are most likely going on and off the layout to go to their destinations. If you do have a yard, cars may head there for sorting. My third tip is to be aware of where your runarounds and reverses are. Runaround tracks are essential for operations. They allow you to maneuver your locomotive to place cars properly. If you want some more information on layout design, you can check out my video on design at the end of this video. If you know that your runaround track is far away from your industry, plan moves accordingly. This may mean long shoves to an industry in order to switch it. Before we continue, let's talk about some of the coffees you guys are drinking. Alan Reynolds is drinking Green Mountain's Nantucket blend with just a splash of half and half. Peter Menigan is experimenting with the native Hawaiian grown and roasted coffees. And Matt Robbenheimer from South Africa is drinking Summer Blend from the Excellent Origin Roasting Company right there in Cape Town. Okay, so the next 2 tips involve how to stock your layout with locomotives and rolling stock. The 4th tip is all about locomotives. Everyone loves buying locomotives. I know I love collecting locomotives, but when you are buying specifically for setting up an operation, you need to purchase locomotives like you're a real railroad. Think about what's the minimum amount of locomotives that you'll need to operate your railroad. For example, the minimum on my model railroad for operations the way I have it designed is 6 locomotives. I have 2 trains that come straight through with 2 consisted locomotives each. I have a road switcher that runs out and switches all the industries, but this can also double duty as a yard switcher. And I have a maintenance of way train that is sometimes needed with the way that I operate. This is also where locomotive types come into play. Locomotive types can be broken down into 2 main groups: mainline locomotives and switching locomotives. These can be broken down even more into subcategories as well, like road switchers and yard switchers. The roles of certain locomotives are certainly more defined with steam locomotives. You're probably not going to see a big boy or an Allegheny being used as a switcher, but when you get to diesels, and specifically modern diesels, the versatility really gets the waters muddied in terms of which locomotive does what. Number 5 is all about rolling stock and how you supply your railroad with it. The rolling stock you use for operations is going to heavily depend on what industries and features your model railroad has. For example, you're going to want a lot of coal hoppers when you have a coal mine. The first thing I would do is figure out what types of cars you need and how many you'll need to fill each spot that you have available at every industry on your layout. Once you figure that out, you can set to work procuring enough cars to fill each spot twice. So essentially double the amount of cars you need to fill every spot. How strict you are in terms of road names, era, and specific car subtypes is entirely up to you. I know I didn't know anything about operations when I started, and I wasted a lot of money. I hope this video helps you skip over that whole money wasting phase that I dealt with and get straight to the fun part. Operations. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, drink some coffee, and happy railroading.